Hi, I'm Ian with People for Polk. Let's talk about TxDOT's plans for Polk Street and why their engineers didn't think a Polk bridge was feasible. And let's also talk about Houston First's more recent plans to close Polk entirely, betraying years of public engagement and public trust, and how ironically that proposal gives us a new way to think about a Polk bridge. In the next 10 to 15 years, TxDOT will be completely transforming the freeway system in Houston by rebuilding I-69 and I-45 from Midtown all the way up to Beltway 8. That includes all the freeways around downtown. They'll be combining I-69 and I-45 on the east side of downtown, and will be putting the freeways underground for 10 blocks. Polk was a challenge for TxDOT, and they determined a direct bridge was not feasible. For one thing, the main lanes of I-45 must have a long ramp to get underground. A Polk bridge would have to arch over the main lanes to maintain overhead clearances. This is what that would look like. But that's not the only constraint. Polk is also a major downtown access point for freeway traffic, and TxDOT knew they needed to maintain this off-ramp from I-69 and 288 to serve suburban commuters. In the future, that ramp will be coming up from I-69, which will already be underground at that point. And that means we have to adjust our bridge design to give that ramp full clearance. That will push the bridge deep into the east end. And the frontage roads will also need to ramp all the way up. Those ramps will be long and wrap around entire blocks. It's pretty clear why TxDOT determined a direct Polk bridge to be infeasible. But TxDOT and Houston knew Polk Street was too important to simply abandon, so TxDOT worked with the community to identify a short U-turn compromise. And city partners continued to work on improving that compromise. In 2019, the city worked with Central Houston to look for local road improvements all around downtown. And they looked for further enhancements for Polk to at least achieve a walking and biking connection. After all those years of compromise and engagement, Houstonians were shocked to see these street abandonment signs installed in February. It felt like a mistake at first, but it quickly became obvious that it was a betrayal. That's why when Houston First eventually showed Houston what their plans were for the GRB, it was hard to get excited. All we could see was a gigantic wall, 8 football fields long. However, there is a better way. The Georgia Brown can expand the same way other convention centers do, by building over major roads like Polk. And Houston First has actually shown us a way to make a Polk bridge feasible. To see how, let's go back to our bridge cross-section. As we saw before, the big challenge is this freeway off-ramp. There was never any question that ramp had to be there. It was simply too important for the city, downtown, and TxDOT to provide a connection to Polk. However, if Houston First has determined that TxDOT's U-turn is ineffective and they can therefore close Polk entirely, well, first, if I was TxDOT, I'd be pretty upset. That would undermine all of my years of analyses and commitments to community members. It would also require me to make significant changes to my project, which already had federal approval. However, that means we also no longer need that ramp. We can remove it or relocate it. And if that ramp can move, then we can greatly simplify the bridge design. In fact, the whole concept of a Polk bridge becomes feasible. The bridge would require the ramp to be relocated, and I think that's a great trade-off. And in fact, I think the NHHIP Cap Park provides us other opportunities for a better ramp placement to serve downtown commuters. However, if Houston First closes Polk now, a bridge will never be possible. That's why it's so important that we preserve what we have now. Future generations depend on us.